Who pays after a Michigan accident, and how does no fault work? Well, the truth is, it's kind of complicated. We have a system in Michigan where your own insurance company is supposed to pay for certain benefits after an automobile accident, as opposed to the other person who caused the accident. And this is why it's called a no fault system. And so, generally, if you're driving your own vehicle and someone else causes the accident, and you're injured, your own insurance company, depending on the level of coverages you've decided on, will pay for certain things. The most common things that you can elect for is medical bills, wage loss, attendant care, replacement services, and medical mileage. Now, some of those things are a little bit complicated to define, like replacement services or attendant care, but really they're chores that you can't do anymore, and maybe kind of quasi medical care that you need during the day that someone has to provide to you. That would be attendant care. And so these are the main categories of benefits that you can get regardless of who's at fault. And the person or the insurance company that has to pay for that is your insurance company. Now, it gets a little bit different. Even if you are a passenger in someone else's vehicle, it's still your own insurance company that's supposed to pay. If you're a pedestrian and you're hit by a car, it's still your own insurance company, oddly enough, that has to pay. And if you don't have no fault insurance, it's possible that you could get it through the assigned claims plan in Michigan. Now, all of these things are a little bit difficult to navigate because the law is kind of confusing and intricate. But you have to know that there are two claims that you've got after an automobile accident. You have your no fault benefits, which are those I just described, which is the medical bills, the attendant care, replacement services, the wage loss, the medical mileage. And you also have a potential claim against the at-fault vehicle for your pain and suffering, but only if you've suffered a serious impairment of a body function, which basically just translates to a serious injury. And courts make a determination on a case-by-case basis what a serious impairment is, but the way that it really breaks down is that it really has to be a serious injury that affects your life in a meaningful way. Now, these are the two types of claims you have, and it can be confusing because a lot of people are not attuned to the fact that your own insurance company pays even if someone else is at fault. And then to throw things a little bit even farther in the left field, your own damage to your car is supposed to pay by your own insurance company. And if you didn't elect collision coverage, nobody's responsible. And you might be able to recover $3,000 called the mini tort from the at-fault vehicle, but this is the most that you can ever recover from the at-fault vehicle. So it's important to know in Michigan what kind of insurance you have. You want to have collision coverage, you want to have no fault benefits, and you want to elect as much no fault coverage as you can afford. Because when you're in a car accident, you don't want to have your wage loss capped. You don't want to have your medical bills capped, because if you get catastrophically injured, you might be out of luck. And so it's best to get those coverages that you need. And if you're confused about what kind of coverages to get, you should probably call a lawyer and maybe not rely 100% on what your agent is telling you. Because in my experience, agents aren't actually very well versed in all these different types of coverages and the practical effects they have after an automobile accident. So if you've been in an accident and you're wondering, where do I start? You start with your own insurance company. But another thing you can do is call a lawyer. We know what different types of claims you have and who needs to be contacted and how those claims have to be set up. If you need help and you've been injured, it's best to call an attorney if you're confused. That way we can wade through all of the different terminology and make sure that you get the benefits that you deserve.